And the first item on our agenda is to approve minutes of our April 29th meeting.
So moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Schaefer, seconded by Commissioner Jernigan. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Well, we are going to begin our work tonight on the 2010, the 2011 proposed budget, and I will introduce each department head and ask them to come to the table and speak to the details of their budget as recommended by the mayor. And then, of course, the budget committee members will have opportunity to ask questions or discuss any of the proposed budgets. For the benefit of the committee and also for those in the audience and watching on television, we did have an overview on April 29th of the budget, and our finance director at that time reported to us the certified tax rate. You will find in your notebooks, or have we given that in the notebooks? You will find in your notebooks a revised number. That number has been adjusted to 2.4652. 2.4652. That number was adjusted based on some additional information from the state because of new construction generating some additional revenue. As we work on the budget, we have the responsibility of making a decision as to whether we will adopt that certified tax rate or something greater. And then, because we do have that additional revenue, at the end of our work session, we will need to make a decision as to how to allocate that additional revenue. I do need to ask us to focus also on the fact that in order to fund this budget, we are using $14 million from our fund balance. Tonight, our agenda focuses on general administration and finance. Before we begin with each department head, are there any questions or comments from the committee? Okay, we will begin. And if you will turn to section 2 of your notebooks. Section 2 in your notebooks, page 17. And the person who got the lucky straw tonight is Dr. Payne from Community Learning.
Thank you. I'll be glad to answer any question. Let me just start by saying this year's budget is 0.3% more than last year's budget. Good news, right?
And this doesn't. The reason for that is we've included, the step raise if they were due one, and the 1% increase to the base is in here, right?
Well, that's they're on the teacher's salary, so they are.
Oh, okay. That's on the teacher's.
Right, for his.
So really, he's reduced it in a few areas, and just a slight increase on the salaries and the benefits.
Madam Chairman, are we just going to listen to these, or are we going to take a vote on each one after they're presented?
Yeah, we will need we'll need a motion after we decide if they accept the mayor's recommendation.
So the mayor's recommendation is $236,756.
You accept the mayor?
I certainly do.
I move approval.
Commissioner Jernigan, seconded by Commissioner Bullock.
Do we have to do a roll call?
Now, I was going to say, can we just?
Last year,
I think
you just
do a voice vote.
Yeah.
Okay.
Say for a voice.
Surely, surely. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. That motion carries unanimously.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Payne.
Have a nice evening.
You too. All right, gentlemen, turn to page 1. And this is the proposed budget for the county commission. Mrs. Nolan?
This budget is the same as the prior year at $203,470.
How much of that do we use?
10 months we used 128,000, so we've used really about only 100. If you amortize that, maybe $150,000. Would that be about right?
There's extra meetings built in just in case.
I move we accept this.
Second.
Commissioner Bullen, seconded by Commissioner Jordan. Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. That motion carries. Page 2, please. Mr. Boner. And before we begin with Mr. Boner's proposed budget for 2010-2011, we have several items that we need to take care of tonight so that we can go to the County Commission on Thursday. The first being the 4-year reappraisal plan, and you should have that in your packet.
And that's in the, it's in your front pocket.
Front part. And between Mr. Boner and I and/or Lisa, we've lost another document that should go with this. There's a resolution that's been prepared by the State Board of Equalization that supports this, that we will need to attach with this plan that you're asking them to approve. We don't have that in our hand, but that's in this folder that we've misplaced in the last 1 hour. So, but in any event, it doesn't change what we're needing to do here. This is something that every 4-year reappraisal cycle, we have to give the state a plan. It's basically a projected 4-year budget for that program, and that's really the essence of it. And they need that submitted to them this month, which means we need to get it on this commission agenda.
And the resolution that accompanies it, of course, will be available.
It just has a simple paragraph, says, for the counties adopting the 4-year appraisal cycle, this is the what they're doing.
And these are the numbers that reference.
And those are the plans.
Yes, sir. There are no actual numbers in the resolution itself. It's just a generic resolution saying that the commission has adopted this this reappraisal plan.
We need a motion to approve the resolution. Motion to approve the plan and the resolution?
I would think so.
Yes.
That's all moved.
Thank you, Commissioner Jordan.
Second motion.
Seconded by Commissioner Sedlin. Discussion?
Just a short question. Does this, by approving this, does this mean the state is going to give us some money for the reappraisal?
No, sir.
No.
I don't know if they are or not.
It's out. They've cut
They
us
say
out.
they've cut that
All
out.
the counties out.
We have to still jump through these hoops and get no money for it.
And that's how they meet their budget. They
Yeah.
cut the counties,
Yep.
right?
Yes, sir.
Any further discussion relative to this motion?
So you're basically doing 34% this year, and I assume it's about like that each year?
Yeah, each year.
So at the end of 4 years, you're gonna have 120-something% done.
Well, yes, right.
Three years plus the 1 year.
3 plus the 3 years
Everything.
that we work on it, yes.
Okay.
3 years works on the appraisal, and the 4th year we do it.
So, and I have people ask me, basically, any individual in this county, how often can they expect to see someone out of your office knocking on their door or checking out their property?
Only once in that 3 years, and I don't know what that 3 year will be, or what time in that 3 years. But unless there's been a change or something that somebody has called and said that they've seen a neighbor build a room, something like that, we do have to go by and check it.
Or if a building permit was issued.
Yeah,
you
it's a
would know
building
that.
permit, right.
Thank you.
Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Bullen,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Mr. Boner also has a budget amendment for this current budget. He has a shortage of funds in data processing services account for payment of an invoice to CCI in the amount of $9,303.
Move to approve.
I'll second the motion.
Commissioner Jernigan, seconded by Commissioner P. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Bullen,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Okay. Now we will begin with his budgets for the 2010-2011 proposed budget, starting with page 2. And gentlemen, you will notice we are being very conservative. We have used the front and back pages so that is a little confusing, I know sometimes. So page 2 is the Board of Equalization. Mrs. Nolan?
The total of that budget is $23,270.
Move for approval.
Second.
Is that Commissioner Schaefer? Second by Commissioner Jernigan.
Do you agree with this recommendation?
Yes, I worked real close with the mayor. The mayor helped me out, and we came with the conclusion we could make it on that. We got to just stay tight.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, that motion carries. Property Assessor, pages 24 and 25. Mayor Burgess?
Okay, we need to make one, since we prepared this budget, and my recommendation previous to this time was $1,818,765. We need to add $14,000 to the line item 196 in-service training. That $8,000 should be $22,000. In that, Mr. Boner is going to be required to do all the proper upgrading to, I guess, version 5 of this piece of software they have, and it's going to take training of everybody in that building, and the people from Colorado Systems are going to come here and do that training. So it's going to take some money that we didn't put in the budget. We had sort of didn't know when that would have to take place, but it must take place even now. So with that in mind, my recommendation is $1,832,765. And let's see if we can note what changes. The primary change that we have there, if you'll notice on 709, is data processing equipment. And I'll have to look at my data here to refresh my mind on what additional things we're doing there. That has several pieces to it, if I recall, did it not, Lisa? That one
That had a lot of,
that had
Lots of.
a lot of equipment in this one.
Okay.
In that one. Some servers. These
all
are
of
the
this
things.
right here.
Mm-hmm.
Computers, software, servers, phone system upgrade, network, and
So I think that, yes.
Line 709.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
709, yeah, that's,
709, that's the large increase from 44,000 to
Then
600.
they ask that much, and you put that, what do you cut out, Mike?
what I think,
They might
we
be-
had some of this was misaligned with particular line items, and when we went through all of this, we had to replace them.
And also, this is the upgrade to the next version of their appraisal software.
I don't know that we actually cut out anything. I think we got everything properly put on the right line there when we did all of this. And
Well, part-time personnel right there is cut down 10,000.
yeah, a little bit of change there.
Overtime. They asked for a motor vehicle, it's not there.
Overtime is,
Communication, they asked for 30,000, and got proposed to give them 6.
we see,
Well,
part of that,
that was the telephone system that's out of your recommendation.
yeah.
Our telephone system is really way out of date.
Is that
If
back
I'm
in
having
Dan's?
to run
No,
from
it's
one
out.
department
It's
to
out.
the next just to catch a phone, if I'm back in mapping, I've got to go all the way back over to my side to catch the phone. And then also if we're in the reappraisal, over the personal property, we have to do the same. Just where we have to just travel.
You agree with the mayor's recommendation?
Yes, sir.
But,
I move to approve then. Second.
so the 1,832,765, is that what you got on the bottom?
Yes.
1,832,765.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, that motion carries. Page 26 is the reappraisal program. Mayor Burgess?
Okay, the reappraisal program, mayor's recommendation, $565,134. It's less than the current year budget. We've not approved any new motor vehicles, and that's really that's the primary difference in what they requested. There may be a few other smaller issues up through there. You'll notice that employee and dependent insurance, that's just a number that Mr. Bona has no control over. This is a reflection of the current employees and their insurance requirements and needs. So that went up, whereas you'll see that we went down in some other things. We substantially reduced this year's budget and this year's request on postal charges. We're finished with this reappraisal, so that's going to be a much less expenditure this next year. And that's the primary differences in what he requested and what we recommended versus and compared to last year's budget.
Agree with it?
Agree with it.
Move to approve. Second.
Commissioner Jernigan, seconded by Commissioner Bullen. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. That motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Boner. Gentlemen, pages 3 and 4. The proposed budget for the county mayor, Mayor Burgess.
Okay, my own budget.
Yes.
My own budget is $300 more than current year budget, and there are no changes except for whatever personnel increases there might be with respect to our base plan, et cetera.
Mayor, does your conscience approve of what you recommend?
Yes, sir, I'm absolutely clear. I've made 2 trips today at a minimum to Nashville at no expense to this county.
I move we accept the mayor's budget.
Thank you, Commissioner Bullen. Seconded by Commissioner Jernigan. Commissioner P?
When the census is redone this year, I'm not sure when we're actually going to complete it, but when we complete that, you know, there'll be some salary adjustments, I would assume. Are we taking that into consideration on these and other
Well, Lisa and I,
elected official departments?
no. We know that they will come. We decided that we'll do it through a budget amendment when it happens, and when they tell us exactly which category we are in.
And we won't know that until
That'll-
April.
That'll be yours, some of the judges.
It would be all of them, every
all the
elected official.
officials.
Yes, sir.
Sheriff, all the elected.
So we're not,
Yes.
we're not looking at that.
Yeah, we haven't put a number down here yet.
Well, I'm gonna ask that on the other people that come.
Okay, there's none of it.
It's
There's
not
no.
in there, and, you know, the question is, do we, until you get that census back, do you go 2 levels or 1 level?
1 level or 2 levels, so we've just chosen not to do anything. Not to recommend anything, okay?
I said the recommendation is actually $600 less than the budget request, so he cut his own budget.
This is after she probably computed fringe benefits or something.
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. That motion carries. Pages 5 and 6 will be the human resource proposed budget. Mrs. Stevenson.
That's what budget is.
Good evening. Mayor Burgess.
Okay, well, this budget is a continuation budget. It's about $500 or $600 less than current year's budget. Let me see. I don't think we made any significant changes. It's a bare bones budget. We've had to make some benefit changes, et cetera. I think she's got a few dollars more in part-time personnel than she had this year, but otherwise we've made some reductions, and she's been able to keep her budget the same, more or less. And so my recommendation is $184,527.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
You're all right with that, too?
Yes, sir.
Second.
Commissioner Jordan or Commissioner P, I'm not sure. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
County Attorney, Mr. Coe, and that is page 7. Mayor Burgess.
Okay, Lisa will have to help me a little bit here.
This,
But in any event, the recommendation is $255,707, which is about a little under $3,000 more. And we need to go through here and
and primarily it's the adjustment of the county attorney's salary, which is in that first line item. It's reflected based on what is in the agreement of $6,000 a month. to get the 72. You'll see a new line item, 331 legal services, because we'll be charged for various things above and beyond just the routine. We put a balance in there, in that line item.
So we've reduced 101 and increased this 331. That's a new line item we hadn't been carrying.
Mrs. Cope, do you have anything to speak to your budget?
I'm happy to answer any questions.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner
It's
Bullock.
about 7,000 less. right?
Seconded by Commissioner Jernigan.
Just a little under 7 less.
Any further questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gentlemen, pages 8 and 9.
And
And
you-
there also, you will find a corrections page included. Mr. Penuel, good
That-
evening,
Good evening.
and Mayor Burgess.
That budget should total $838,682.
So that's this correction
That's
sheet
the
here.
correction sheet.
And we originally had 837, but Lisa found we needed to make a change or two there on some of those benefit numbers, I suppose. Let's see. This, we need to point out a few additional things here where we've been, the current year budget is $685,399, and they requested $834, and with the needed changes in the benefits and probably the health insurance, that's $837,157 amended to, as Lisa just told us, $838,682. The big number would, where you see on line item 351, you see there's a $100,000 increase for rentals. And Mr. Penuel, that's because of these elections we're having, and that's going to be, we're renting some
Bring
devices.
some voting machines, and that's funded by the state.
So we
We've
have
got an
revenue for that?
offsetting
We have an
revenue.
offsetting revenue for that? Okay, so that's right.
So it's going to be an in and out right there.
Right, but it gives the appearance. Now, election workers, I should have started from the top, and I apologize. 193 with the oncoming August primary, and the, we're going to be,
You've got to add those two together if you're looking over here, but these two didn't change.
219.
193, did it change, Lisa?
Election workers should be 190.
Well, okay.
Well, you have to add those two together when you look on here, because I've got.
All right, so we need to do we add the 101, 200 plus the 88, 800. Well, that's still 190.
The
That's
two
a-
193 should still equal 190,000.
It's still 190,000.
It's just-
193, the two line items on that are still 190, but you see that is up about $72,000. But again, that's because they need more election workers because we have more elections.
We've got two big elections, August and November.
So you can see that $170,000, when we add that to current year budget, is greater than our 837 that we're projecting here in this year's budget. So the rest of the line items are pretty much equal to or less than current year's budget. Would you say, Mr. Penuel?
Yes, sir.
Is that your recollection?
We're down in office supplies, we're down in data processing supplies, and down in postal
And down in legal notices?
and legal notices.
Yes, so we made a few
Yes,
reductions.
we have.
You agree with Mayor?
Sure do. Yes, sir.
Move approval.
Commissioner Jernigan, seconded by Commissioner Bullock. Discussion?
What is the timely effect on getting that back from the state as far as the off the rentals on this? Do you turn that in after the election, after you've rented the machines, or
The
you've already
grant-
got them contracted and rented, I guess, for the...
The grant's being processed right now by the state, and it will be sent directly to us, and it should be here before
Oh, okay. Okay.
the due date
I got you.
of the machine company.
It's not January 1, 2011. It's pretty quick. Okay.
Yes.
Good deal.
You understand?
Any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. That motion carries.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Page 10, Register of Deeds. Mrs. Gerhart, hello. Mayor Burgess.
Okay, Mrs. Gerhart and I agreed on this budget. My recommendation and hers is $185,426. You'll notice underlined, and that's about $80,000 more, but the 80 plus. The data processing services, which has increased from 44,000 to 124,000, is 80,000 more. That's where all the increase is. And Mrs. Gerhardt can tell you what that's for. She needs to do what she's doing, but I'll let her explain it.
We are going to go do a back scanning project that will cost around $80,000. We're going to back scan our deeds back to 1804, so they'll all be on the computer. It's a big project that we are really looking forward to accomplishing.
And if you remember when we were talking about the overview, there will be a reduction in one of the reserves, and that is part of it is in her budget. We're reducing her reserve.
Move approved.
Second. Commissioner Jernigan, seconded by Commissioner Boyd. Discussion?
This will be all completed this coming fiscal year, there's no repercussions afterwards?
We plan to have it completed this next fiscal year, yes.
And you've got enough staff to do it? Walk around?
We are hiring somebody.
Oh, you are?
We're not capable. We back scan documents now. This is books that we can't take apart or coming from microfilm. These are, we're not capable of doing it. Yes, it'll be very time consuming.
Yeah, this is services, not equipment, so they're going to come in and do it.
Yes.
And they're going to take their equipment and go home.
Right,
Yeah.
that's correct.
And we're going to look something up, you will see how hard it is.
I agree.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Mr. Mankin, what possibly was going to be late, so I said if he's not here, we'll just skip him and come back to him later. So go to pages 18 and 19, please.
He's not going to be here.
He's not going to be here.
Oh, is he not going to be here at
I
all?
don't think so.
Okay. Let's just
And we should, the reason he's not here is his dad has some serious
Yes,
medical
I knew
issues,
he
and
was-
he's with
I
him,
knew he was
having
taking
some
care of
tests
his
made,
father.
et cetera.
Pages
But
15
do
and
you wanna
16. Pages 15 and 16, Mayor Burgess.
Okay. Well, our budget this year is $1,733,000. I'm recommending $1,647,332. Let's sort of go through here and see what, again, I have reduced in this budget. We've increased, actually, the part-time personnel. This is largely his cleaning people, in that we've got the county clerk's building that we picked up, so we need some additional staff there. Let's see. Got to be some. We've reduced the utilities 25,000,
And building
and we've
improvements.
we've reduced building improvements from 185 to 70. We think we've got most of those larger items that we needed to do completed, so we're not putting as much in that budget this year. So that's $115,000, which is a big piece of the reduction we have there. So I even talked to him again this afternoon about this, so I think we're fine with this. He is as well.
Motion to approve, Madam Chairman.
Second.
Commissioner Sandlin, seconded by Commissioner Pitt. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Okay, we'll move to archives. Mr. Lodell, and that will be pages 18 and 19. Mayor Burgess.
Okay, my recommendation is $118,422. That's about $14,000 less. And Mr. Lodell, what did we do to your budget to find that many dollars in savings? Let's see here.
A lot of it is a
Office-
grant that he has this year that's not going into next year's budget.
And how do we see that reflected here?
That was some
Oh,
part-time
that's that part-time
personnel.
personnel, yes. $14,860, that grant to pay for those.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit of data processing equipment in this year, so not in.
Well, that's
It's not in this year.
$1,800. We
Yeah.
didn't put anything in there this time. So that accounts for the $15,000 or $14,000 that we're
We had some
down.
grants this year that look like fluctuations on the paper. It actually inflated our budget last year, and the grants aren't there this year, so it comes back down. We had the Historic Property Survey grant at $19,000 from the state. I just got a grant this spring for equipment from the state for $1,800, so that's what the data processing equipment was.
You accept this?
Very much so.
Move to accept.
Commissioner Bullen, seconded by Commissioner P. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Lodel is a very, very frugal person. If you want him to help manage your personal budget, you would be well advised. Yes, sir.
Risk management or insurance, that is pages 20 and 21.
Oh, did you have a proxy on this?
Well, no, she just gave me her information, and so if there's any questions.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I will need the help of both Ms. Stevenson and Ms. Nolan on this. First of all, the recommended budget is $498,817, and that's about $63,000 more. And we should go through here and sort of tell you what comprises that increase. First of all, line item 105, you see that we're recommending an increase there for that for the director of that department. We think it's imperative that we go to that number there for our director's base salary, and this has been reflected in what has happened with respect to Mrs. Miller. I don't think that was the primary reason, but as we've been interviewing people and reviewing this in its total view, this is really imperative. This is we really probably need a bit more, but this is what we need to have, and that's key component number one. And there is no part-time personnel here, but the reason for that, and that will reflect itself in that increase in line item 118.9. Now, Mrs. Miller's not here with us to clearly and concisely discuss these issues that you would have before, but let's talk about the wellness coordinator. We have a part-time wellness coordinator, and this proposes to put this wellness coordinator at a full-time position. And we have some data here that would describe what the benefits of doing this are. The bottom line is we're not able to actually implement this incentive program, a program that will really reach out and improve the wellness and health of our employees, and in turn that will lower our cost and their cost and improve their productivity. Now, Ms. Stevenson, you may know more about this than we do, but the underlying approach here is that we would offer incentives from 100 up to a maximum of 300, depending on how many of these programs and things that are associated with wellness that our employees participate in. And if they were to fill the whole box of matrices with a check mark and they did all these things to improve their health, they would get a one-time annual $300 incentive to be applied against the more or less a reduction in their part of their health insurance cost. If they only did a part of those good things that would help them become more healthy, they'd get 100 or 200. And she has produced some data here that showed that the total incentives could be as much as $287,000 with personnel cost of $50,000. Here you go. And training cost. This personnel that we're talking about taking to a full-time is included here, and a conservative estimate on the return on estimate, she says, is 3 times the cost. She thinks we'll lower health insurance cost and health benefit cost by at least 3 times whatever we put into this incentive program. In any event, that's the story on this. Sonia, what else do you want to say, or Lisa?
Well, Lois, Kelly Perrin, who is our current wellness coordinator, and myself, we looked at wellness programs all across the nation. And I don't know if you remember or not, but last year we applied with the American Heart Association for the Gold Fit program, which was saying that we were doing things to help our employees ensure that they lived a healthy lifestyle, and a lot of the things that we were doing. So we received that reward nationwide. One of the measures that we were missing was the ability to be able to track and also the other portion of it was the incentives. All the programs that we looked at across the nation that had the best results incentivized. And where I'm saying that, say the smoking cessation program, if somebody was a smoker, in order to incentivize, if they went through the smoking cessation program and they quit the smoking cessation program, quit smoking because of that and maintained it for X amount of time, I think it's 6 months, then you would get a check mark as having completed that program. If you were someone who was having health issues due to your weight, and when you went into the weight management program, and right now the county is offering 3 different programs, one that Kelly and myself are teaching, another that Care Here is teaching, and then they have another that they go through Cigna, which is an online course. But we've got to be able to track these in order to be able to incentivize. And so one of those things is that's going to be a timely with our employee population to be able to track that and to create the system. And it's going to have a large impact on, and also working together with OIT. OIT has helped with our training programs and helped us set up a tool for tracking on that to help us save money. When it says conservative estimate of ROI, most people were noticing anywhere from a 6-to-1 to a 9-to-1 savings, but we didn't want to go there. We wanted to be conservative in saying a 3-to-1 savings on our overall cost. Now at this point we're being reactive because the medical needs that we already have, the population is already there. But if we get them set in place, then it will eventually become a proactive program because you will have them and people will want that discount on their premium. So,
one thing I failed to say, in the cost of this program, if we implement this program, is already factored into the rate that we projected forward for next January the 1st. So we've already built this in as a probability so that it wouldn't cause anything to the rate structure.
So the only thing it can do is lower the rate for next year.
Yeah.
Correct.
And lower the cost for these people and have healthier
and this
employees.
person's already working part-time, so they've got a desk and a,
yes,
we have to create a space.
She works out of my office,
yeah.
And we coordinate, the 3 of us had coordinated all the activities. She helps with the employee appreciation. She's teaching a class tonight on a dinner and discovery. We do lunch and learns and dinners and discoveries on healthy topics. She does the Fit for Life class on Tuesday nights. She is working with the Murfreesboro Medical Center, the Wellness Center, helping the clients there. She works closely with Care Here. And in her 20 hours a week, she gets a lot accomplished, but she doesn't have enough time to track the employees in order for us to move us to the next level.
And there was one other component of this that Lisa can help me with. On 599, that 1,800 went up to 19,300, but that's 2 pieces of revenue basically offset. 7,500 from one of our insurance companies for safety, and then an employee wellness $10,000. So we're getting really an offset of 17,500 there. So there's really no net increase there of actual dollars that we have to incur.
Right. The $10,000 is from Cigna, and we can use that money towards wellness events. So we use that, like when we had the walking program, we purchased pedometers for everybody who wanted to do the walking program. It helps with the employee appreciation to bring in some of the healthy vendors. Whatever activities, it helps with buying the materials. Where we've been running into the problem in the last 2 years is that Cigna will only reimburse us with a receipt, but we didn't have it in the budget, so we couldn't pay for it till we had a receipt, and it was a huge problem. So it's really going to cross itself out. For whatever we spend up to $10,000, they reimburse us the full amount. So,
Lisa, where are we at on actual 10 months? It looks like we're about 90,000 off right now as far as our last year's budget up to now.
Are you talking about in total for that budget? Okay, hold on a second.
I'm just trying to scan down through here and see the difference.
We're under budget if you amortize that. It'd be about 400,000.
Wait a minute. I have a different keyboard. Sorry.
almost half of that is in salaries, if you look at the difference, and the taxes and all that. And then 17 of it's going to be in the those two accounts you just mentioned.
Mayor, I agree with you on one of the major issues right there as far as the salary is concerned on that position, but we have put that out already. We've got applicants. It's been narrowed down, correct?
Yes, sir.
And then
it's going to take this much money.
They've come in at this acknowledgement of 65.
No, sir. We put it out to be determined. We didn't put out a number.
We put it commensurate with experience. We didn't put a salary range in there.
You're gonna get somebody on stay here, you're gonna have to pay them. That's the reason we brought the last two. I moved through this budget.
Second.
Commissioner Jernigan, seconded by Commissioner Schaefer. Discussion?
She's looking at something.
Quickly say.
347,812 in total is how much we've spent.
I'm just gonna quickly say that all these programs are needed and they're good things, but the American people have become so pampered. We're a nation of slobs. We're the 5th on the 5 most obese states in the Union. We live in the stroke belt, and it's not entirely the responsibility of the government to tell people to take care of themselves, quit stuffing yourself to death, quit drinking yourself to death, quit smoking yourself to death, so that you can be productive. And I mean, it just galls me. I'm not a perfect example by any means, but at least I try to take care of myself.
That's just for your information.
The notion that we have to go through all these things to get people to live longer is beyond comprehension sometimes. People in other nations seem to be able to do a little bit better, but here we have to give them all kind of incentives to do what they ought to be doing, at least somewhat on their own. So I support these programs, but I think it's an embarrassment to the United States that we have to have these type of programs to get people to try to take care of themselves. And then they have relapses and they want the government to give them another chance, so I'll get off this box and let it be.
Well, I hope our director didn't leave and we had an opportunity to keep her.
No, sir.
Any further discussion relative to this motion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries.
She knew that we were going to move this up next fiscal year. We'd already discussed that with her. We were going to try to move it up next.
Yeah, I was going to say attempt to move it.
Yeah, we'd already communicated with her about that.
Thank you. Thank you. Pages 22 and 23, the Finance Office. Mrs. Nolan, this is your budget.
Total of $906,535, and I accept the mayor's recommendation.
Mayor Burgess.
I accept. We've worked closely on this together, and I think it's a good budget, and she's been a very frugal and productive department up there under her leadership.
Going to make her sit and sweat for a few minutes.
Agree with it, Lisa?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner Jernigan. Seconded by Commissioner Jernigan.
The basic differences in salaries. Then?
Yes, sir.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries.
Maybe we can put that sit and sweat program into the wellness.
Okay, Mr. Beatty. The county trustees budget on page 27. Mayor Burgess.
Okay, my recommendation is $73,950, which concurs with Mr. Beatty's request.
You agree to this?
Yes, sir.
I move we accept.
Commissioner Bullen, seconded by Commissioner Jernigan. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Beatty.
Thank you.
Our county clerk, Mrs. Lynch, page 28. And the mayor's recommendation, Mayor Burgess?
The mayor's recommendation is $149,400. Again, that concurs with her request. You'll notice that is a reduction from this year's current budget, largely because next year we don't have any lease payments, but we do have debt service over in our debt service to support the new building. But it's a continuation budget, a frugal budget.
I think she's got a.
And she had, did you have something you want to change there?
Yes, we
Oh.
can change 307 communications to 20,000.
Oh, good.
Our last two bills that came in, one was $12.75 and one was $14.75. We had understood it was going to be $1,000 more a month, but so far these two bills. So if it stays like that, this will take care of it.
So that takes it to 140,700.
All right, and something else on postal, Elaine, I don't know, what y'all, how you do that. I didn't know from our building, do you take all three of them together and just kind of, because we all use the same postage machine, but being that the state is going to be mailing out the business tax renewal forms, we may be able to reduce it, but now somebody else may, I'm not sure yet, or somebody else in that building may need it. So it's however you want to do it, but I
believe it like it is this year.
Until you see the actual reduction.
My number was 140.
700.
It'd be 120.
$140,700. Well, good. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I always like to be a bearer of good news.
Motion approved.
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Jordan, seconded by Commissioner Sandlin. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, motion carries.
And y'all please remember the open house in Smyrna in the morning from 10 to 11, the new satellite office. You should have gotten an invitation. Thank you.
Thank you. Page 14, Geographic Information Systems. And let's see, Mr. Robertson and Ms. Severs, Seviers, how do you pronounce it? Severs? Mayor Burgess, your recommendation, please.
Okay, what page are we on that, please? 14.
Page 14.
Excuse me. I'll need a little bit of help here on this one. Some of you saw me trying to piece all this together even this afternoon at 5:25, but let's see here,
Should be
page
over on the
14.
left-hand side. Yeah, it's on the back
The
side.
largest is that other capital outlay, the second, the off year on the flyover.
Yeah. So there's a $200,000 reduction there. Mr. Robertson, my recommendation is $653,149, which is a bit more than your original request of $645. I would say that most of those changes are changes that's already been done with respect to salaries, et cetera, and those wage increases. So we've reduced the other capital outlay by $200,000 this year, which is what Lisa just said is just every other year business on these flyovers. So what else have we done? We've reduced data processing services. We've increased maintenance agreements a bit because we had to. Are there any others? And we've increased data processing equipment by $15,000. And I don't remember what that was, Brian, but you can probably tell them.
Plotter.
That was some of
A
this.
large part of that is for a plotter for the assessor's office or planning department. Somebody's going to need a new plotter. Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's about the extent of that. Are there any changes that we haven't noted here that you want to discuss tonight?
No, sir. I'd just point out that the only reason DP services went down is that we removed something that seemed more appropriately in maintenance agreements, so it ended up almost being a wash. Actually, we made it a little better than a wash, decreasing 317 more than we increased 334. But that was just seemed like a better line item for that to come out of.
And I believe we gave you a little bit more part-time because of all these meetings, et cetera, we're having to. Well, not the meetings, but to assist some with this GIS business.
Yes, sir. And we've been doing some disaster damage assessment even as part of the flood. Of course, that's this current budget year, but it seems we're having an event every year or so, and this personnel does assist in situations like that for damage assessment in tornadoes or floods.
Now, explain to me again why you would have this plotter, which would be going to the assessor in your budget instead of in his.
Yes, for Mr. P., the original concept with that was that components that are deemed critical to our GIS system in the county that are direct inputs into the GIS data would come from this budget and kind of be start to say protected and sort of protected, but sort of isolated and accountable separately from the various departmental budgets. Now, when I say various, really, I'm just talking about the property assessor's office, where there are 2 or 3 GIS workstations, 3 GIS workstations, where data is directly input into the GIS repository, and in the planning department, where there are just 1 or 2, and then we have 3 of these plotters that are used. In fact, during the final stages of the appraisal process, all 3 of those plotters are producing maps which end up residing in the property assessor's office. So that's a good example of how it's not really a particular department's. They all bind together to do what needs to be done. It's allowed us to ensure that this critical GIS equipment not sort of suffer from other departmental concerns that might come throughout individual departments' budget process, and again, it helps us account for it separately.
Great.
You agree with the recommendation?
Yes, sir.
Move to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Jernigan, seconded by Commissioner Bullen. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. That motion carries. Information technology, pages 29 and 30.
Okay.
And Mr. Brown, are you joining us with this budget also? Mayor Burgess, your recommendation?
$1,641,488, and we will need again some assistance from Mr. Brown and/or Mr. Robertson. You'll notice the biggie is the increase of about $150,000 on data processing equipment, and I think Brian probably should explain that to you. It's critical that we make this additional expenditure. Before we do that, let's see, are there other items that are noteworthy that we need to talk about, Brian? We're up a little bit in communication, up some in data processing services, 20,000, and then 15,000. Well, no, 10,000, excuse me. Now, past those 2 changes, really the primary one is over here where we've gone from 183,000, and Brian initially had 211,000 there, but we've since determined that that really needs to be an additional 150,000, taking us to 361. Are these numbers still current numbers?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That's basically the result of a late breaking discovery or improvement on something that we discovered, where we had previously asked or suggested that the property assessor's office and the sheriff's office budget about $45,000 each for a large storage device to house some of the data that they are accumulating. Photographs in the property assessor's office and scanned images primarily in the sheriff's office. And we discovered, even before we went over to talk to Mr. Burgess, that very same day we discovered a mass storage device, a giant storage device that we could put in place here in the courthouse that would serve both the needs of the property assessor's office and the sheriff's office, and putting an additional $60,000 with that could serve some other needs that are coming down the pike in other various departments that we're only just discovering.
And one of which would be, I believe, the ambulance service. Is this all connected with that as well?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. The ambulance service has begun scanning medical records.
They're trying to scan all their medical records in, which is a huge volume of data that they're already working on.
We did reduce the sheriff's office and property assessor budget requests, I believe, by those $45,000 amount.
We took those budget requests that were in their budgets and put them into this one so that we can share this whole set of storage space from all of any entity within the county that needs it.
15 out of EMA.
And 15 more out of EMA?
That's correct. Yes. Emergency Management Agency's server was filling up as well, and that we had asked them to put in $15,000 for a hard drive, our smaller array. Months ago, we had made that plan with Roger, and so we were able to reduce that amount as well.
There's no problem with this data being centrally located like that. I mean, a lot of the sheriff's data is sensitive. Of course, the medical records, you have the HIPAA laws. there's not a problem with any of that?
No, sir. No. One way to answer that is no more than there already is by virtue of them already, all being connected together. It physically residing at the courthouse really doesn't change the need for that data to all be, secure. So pulling it together here really isn't changing the security
Or
of it or accessibility of it. No, sir.
You agree with all the changes there in the mayor's budget?
Yes.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Jernigan and seconded by Commissioner Bullen. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Motion carries.
Is there anything reoccurring in this storage area from year to year? Is it going to be? Is this cost going to be there every year, or is it going to be somewhat less than this?
I kind of think we kind of thought of this as a 3 to 5 year plan where this would be the initial purchase, and then we would augment this system basically to add some disaster recovery and high availability to it in case there was a flood here or a tornado here. The data would kind of reside here and off-site.
Are there maintenance dollars reflected in data processing services?
Yeah, actually, we're gonna trade in some old equipment that's gonna make some of the services go down by $15,000. But
there will be an annual.
I think this initial purchase comes with a 3-year warranty, though. So
okay.
So that we won't pay for that for 3 years. I don't think.
Gotcha.
Thank you, gentlemen. Anything else? Any other business that we need to take care of tonight?
Did they vote on that one?
I just wanted to.
Okay.
Commissioner Sandlin had
Just
a question or comment.
I doing like I normally do is just try to keep up with what we're taking out and what we're putting in. It looks like we just increased our budget $241,000. We took out 348. We added 589. So overall, just in what we've done tonight is increased it 241,000. I noticed a couple things in here that we didn't stress on very much, but it seemed like in the current or in past, budget years that we didn't do any increases in department heads or other people, other employees rather, until like at the end of the budget. I noticed in this budget we've kind of taken it all at one time. Are we not addressing that at the end after we kind of shake out everything as far as in a...
Are you talking about adding personnel?
Well, not just in adding personnel and increasing their salaries or whatever, because we had pulled that out before in history, but this year we kind of did it a little differently.
Well, the two things we put in here in these recommendations is the step raise that was missed by all of the people that should have gotten them last year. That would have included department heads as well. They're on the same system. So we put that into this budget, and then we've added 1% to the base table, which includes department heads. They're in the same base table as well. So we've always treated them the same.
I guess last year, because we knew the budget year was so bad, that the budget was not even built with any kind of increase whatsoever. And in previous years, in building the budget would be determined, are we going to put it in?
Right.
So really last year was, to me, the odd year that we didn't build with anything. In previous years, we always built something in.
Well, we had some 11,000, 12,000, type increases on some salaries that I just thought that we may handle that at the end of the budget instead of coming through. But are we going to handle that from here out the same way? We're not going to come at the very end and say we're doing a 1% or we're doing a certain percentage. We're going to address them as we went.
I think you've seen the only ones that have any substantial increase in addition to the 1%. You've already seen those. There are no more.
Okay.
Well, maybe one more.
Some of the heads, one in there that's critical, like the insurance director.
Yeah, that's the only one that
let's talk apple and apples. If you're going to question these, you're going to have to be able to get who you're going to get. It's our trouble now.
Commissioner Bullen.
Tell me again, Lisa, what percentage did you recommend for the sales tax increase? What's this based on?
Yeah, you did.
I did, oh gosh.
Well, if you don't
What
have
we
any-
got, I know it's what we got this year, plus what we think we're gonna get if we get the same as what we got last year for the next 3 months. And there wasn't a whole lot of increase.
So it's almost.
Very small
There is gonna
increase
be
with
some increase to it. That's what I've got budgeted. You know, and really it's the schools. And I budgeted just a slight, you know, kind of where we are and maybe just a little bit more, which I didn't do what the state has done.
I can tell you
as
on,
requested.
on the county piece, on just our piece, which is probably what you do, we went from a $400,000 budget to $420,000. So she's got a 5% increase.
Yes, and I think we're gonna get 420 this year.
So she thinks we're gonna get 420 this year, so it really would be no increase over what we're collecting, but it, over our budget this year, it's about 5% more than we were budgeted this year. She thinks we'll beat our 400,000 by maybe 20,000, and she's budgeted that same amount for next year.
So we're actually budgeting under what we're projecting our revenues will be.
Yeah, but let me get to the schools because that's their.
So that's,
Very safe estimate.
and she's gonna see what's,
Mr. Sanders still here.
Yeah, well, Jeff and I, we did end up coming up a little bit not near what we've got estimated for next year, 35,275 in sales tax, and we've got what we estimated for this year is 36,727. So I don't even have near what we got budgeted this year for next year.
Okay, thank you.
but the 35,275 she's
141,
budgeted
35
is
million.
maybe a little bit more than we think we're gonna get this
35
year.
million, sorry, 35 million.
It's just a slight increase over what we're actually collecting this year.
Yeah.
We hope we're
What's 3
underestimating it.
zeros?
Gentlemen, our next budget work session is May 17. In fact, we have May 17 and May 18. And you have those agendas and notices in the envelope at your place. On May 17th, we will continue with the general fund, and that will be mostly the courts and also the sheriff's department and some of those related public safety departments. If there is nothing else that we need to bring before this committee, we are adjourned. Thank you.